This episode is proudly supported by Montague Plums, handpicked for you.
The things that we're really looking for in plums, first of all, they've got to be sweet. We're really looking for a full flavour explosion in our plums. Red flesh is critically important to us, higher in antioxidants, so all that good stuff. And then we're also looking to add a slightly firmer texture, so there's almost a little crunch. That's the real driver for us.
For more information, go to montague.com.au.
Getting out in the morning, being out sunrise, harvesting veggies, those sort of moments is what makes it worth it. And when people really express how much they appreciate having the food, that's what makes it exciting.
This is The Producers. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Duckfoot Farm, owned by Justin Hartley, is the ultimate example of small-scale farming that relies on land share arrangements between young farmers and landowners. It proves that small-scale farming has a big role to play in the future food system and ultimately the health of people too.
So I'm farming in the Southern Highlands of New South Wales, so it's about an hour and a half south of Sydney, inland from the coast, about an hour. It's a little bit challenging conditions here in the Highlands, but certainly adds to all the important lessons we need to learn. There's so much opportunity here. We've got an abundance of land that's underutilised. It's beautiful soil, and it is so close to Sydney and the coast and Canberra. We've got a pretty central location here, so it's a pretty good spot. Well, I try and grow everything that I can that handles the conditions here. We've got very strong seasons here in the Highlands, so our summer growing window is quite short. We still grow things like tomatoes, eggplants, capsicums, chilies, and cucumbers, but we just have to start them a bit later because with those crops it's all about soil temperature. So I get pretty jealous with the guys up north. Already got cucumbers by the time I'm just planting. So, we try and grow a huge range of produce, everything from your salads, your root crops, and summer crops. So. We supply local veg boxes, so the idea is we want a big variety of produce. We try and grow everything we can, but we try and push too much sometimes and realise that we shouldn't be growing certain crops here because it just doesn't handle the wind or the frost or whatever. So it's a constant learning curve.
Quality food wasn't really part of Justin's childhood, but after a few experiences with other vocations, he knew the way forward was to find a greater connection with the land and food.
Yeah, I grew up as most kids do, unfortunately. Food wasn't a big part of our lives. We sort of just ate whatever, really. We didn't have cooks in the family. We ate a lot of Maccas and all that rubbish. And so it wasn't really till I was a young adult in my early 20s when I discovered organic food and started working on an organic farm and realised the value in food. I'd done a lot of things. So when I left school, I was a spray painter, so I painted cars. But I got sick from the chemicals and decided to go do horticulture. And then after not long, I realised, well, okay, this isn't working either because now I'm spraying pesticides and herbicides and fungicides, and this also doesn't feel good for my health or the health of the planet. So I gave that up and started my own landscaping business and then gave that up and joined the army and was there for a few years. And so I've sort of tried a few things, but it wasn't until I started growing food where I was like, okay, this is what I love to do. This is I'm getting some value out of this. Once you spend these many months growing, a kale plant, and then you go home and cook it, the taste, it just seems to taste better. I think just being involved with that whole process and then eating it, there's something really enlivening about that. it feels healthy.
After getting his foot in the door working on organic farms, Justin took the giant step of starting his own.
I had done many years' experience prior to starting Duckfoot Farm on organic farms, and I come across this method of no-till farming, and it just made sense to me. So I thought, I'm going to give this a go, and took the chance and started the process, by laying cardboard on top of the soil, on top of the grass, so there's no tillage at all. Just lay the cardboard down, then build my rows with compost and mulch, and so it all started with $10,000 worth of compost and cardboard that I'd scrounged out of the Harvey Norman bins, and just went for it with a wheelbarrow and started building the rows. I was about 7 rows in, and one of my friends come along, and I said, the worst thing that could happen now is getting a whole lot of rain, and because I was worried about the compost washing being washed off the cardboard. And then, he goes, it just so happens we've got a big storm coming, and it's going to be hanging around for a few days. It's like 100 mils of rain over the next few days. and so it happened, and the cardboard, the compost stayed on the cardboard. It didn't go anywhere, and so that was a little, success story right there, right from the beginning, that there was no erosion. If I had tilled with a rotary tiller or something, all that soil would have just washed down the hill, and it would have been a complete disaster. So, so that was a real success right from the start. But then, it's been pretty much raining for 2 years straight now. So it's been a challenging 2 years, and but we're still here. We've still got a farm. We haven't lost any native soil through the whole process. So it's really successful.
Like all small-scale farmers, every day offers a myriad of challenges.
Well, I don't have a typical day, unfortunately, because I've got 3 farms. So I'm using land sharing opportunities. So I don't own the land that I farm on, but I've been offered these properties to which I've said yes to all of them, and so now I am juggling too much, and so I'm just trying to keep all the pieces together at the moment, but I'm still just trying to build that foundation and have a system in place. So I've got 2 people working at Exeter Farm, keeping that under control, and Moss Vale's still a bit of a write-off from the floods, but basically what the long-term goal is that my day would just be maintenance. So instead of building the farms, I'll turn up in the morning. I already know what I'm going to do. I'm going to seed carrots and beetroot and radish, and transplant some leeks and prune the tomatoes and so on. So, but at the moment, there's nothing set in stone other than the harvest days, which is 2 days a week, and they're the only days that I wake up knowing what I'm doing exactly.
Although the region is ideal for what Justin grows, working with the elements has proved quite challenging.
It's been the rain since I've started Duckfoot Farm. Before that, when I was farming, it was drought. So the weather is a huge challenge. And we've got pretty, as I said before, strong seasons here in the Highlands, and we're pretty, we get some ferocious weather. We get high winds and so on, high rainfall. So I'd say the weather's been the biggest challenge. Also the consumer side of things, trying to convince people why this is important, why we need this in our communities, and why we need to create a localised food system and support these small growers. I think that's been a challenge, also a bit of an emotional one, because I'm quite passionate about it. I can see the value in what it is, and why it's important, and when people they see a lot of people see the value of food as a monetary value. So that's what's important to them, and so that hurts a bit, but that's part of why I'm doing what I'm doing is the educational side of things. So
His experiences and connections fostered while working for other people proved pivotal when looking to sell his produce.
Oh, well, because I'd already been in the vegetable industry, I had contacts. I knew restaurants and so on, and resellers. So I didn't really have a problem. But if you were just starting out and you didn't know anyone, you'd have to do a lot of work, and you'd have to get out there and go and visit restaurants and get your message out to the community, or do farmers markets and things like that. So, but for me, it was quite easy. So I sell local veg boxes, and I sell to some local restaurants, some restaurants up in Sydney, really big support up in Sydney. And then there's also UBI, which stands for Out of Our Own Backyard, and they're a reseller. They support all local small scale businesses, plus big organic farms as well. And so they buy a lot of produce off me and then distribute it out into their own veg boxes around Sydney.
The reward for Justin is not just providing quality produce for others, but getting to enjoy it himself every day.
Well, I'm lucky enough I get to have this experience every day, so it's hard to remember one in particular, but my wife is an amazing cook, so we're quite spoilt. But we went up to one of the restaurants that's been buying our produce for over a year now, and I think going up there and experiencing the chefs, because those chefs actually come down to the farm as well and planted some tomato plants and so on, and had a good day down here. So then we went up there, and all the chefs and waitresses and waiters knew us, and then served food that we had provided them, and that was a really amazing experience.
As Duckfoot Farm has grown, so too the opportunity to create new initiatives.
I think what's next is there's a little bit of expansion here at Penrose where I am now, and then I just want to finish building the farm. So I want to be done building and just get into the maintenance side of things, and once we do that, then we can start bringing in people. We can start doing workshops and farm tours and cooking events and so on, and really just getting this out there and showing people, how good life is, and we can let's celebrate food and celebrate life, and we can have fun. So I think that's where I want to get to. I want to get the farms finished and looking beautiful, and then start getting people involved.
For Justin, this lifestyle change has had a monumental impact on each and every day.
Well, I love everything about what I do. Getting out in the morning when it's a nice day, getting out in the morning, being out sunrise, harvesting veggies, those sort of moments is what makes it worth it. And when people really express how much they appreciate having the food, that's what makes it exciting. And knowing that we're eating food that's actually healthy for us, and the land's being looked after, and we're consuming nutrient dense food. So it's there's so many things to love about what we're doing here. I think it is that connection to your food and health. When I'm at home and we're eating food, I think about the whole process of growing that carrot or that beetroot, and it just feels like I have a bit of a connection to nature and to health. But on days like this, when it's sunny and there's no wind, and it's just a nice place to be. I certainly couldn't work in an office. I just feel like what I'm doing is important. If I was, I think it's important to, I think it's a good thing to feel like what you're doing is important. It gives you a bit of drive and passion, and I think that's the main thing. Is I'm an outdoors person, so I like being outdoors, but I think it's just that I feel like what I'm doing needs to be done, and lots of people appreciate it too. There's people love having fresh food available, and when people give you the compliments of how beautiful your food is, it's very rewarding.
Duckfoot Farm is providing the highest quality produce whilst building the health of the most vital resource, the soil. This is The Producers, a Deep in the Weeds production. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Stay tuned as we share the stories of producers, farmers, makers and growers, the true lifeblood of the food industry. Follow us on Instagram at Producers Podcast or email us at producerspodcast@deepintheweeds.com.au.